Hello and welcome back to episode 8 of the Combat Club. My name is Mike Owens and today I am joined by a victorious and ferocious Farid Basharat who's coming off his big win at UFC 308. Farid, always a pleasure, my man. How are things with you today?
Always a pleasure, Mike. Always great speaking with you. Thank you.
How you've had over a week now to reflect on it. How are your emotions after your last fight and your last win?
I'm very happy and very relieved. Um, it could have gone wrong potentially. I mean, it can always go wrong, but like this one was just a weird situation, wasn't it, with the weight miss and everything. So, part of me was like, I was trying my best to, after we made the decision to actually fight him, it was kind of like, did I make the right decision? Did I not? Battling with the devil a little bit, but.
Mm.
I'm glad, I believed in my abilities and it paid off. So I'm ecstatic now, and now I'm just enjoying the fruits of my labor.
Talk us through a little bit about the whole weight incident and how you found out what was happening, how it was happening, and how you and your team came to the agreement to still go ahead with the fight.
Well, yeah, ultimately what happened was the wake up happened as normal.
Mm.
I cut some of it the night before and then the rest in the morning, Friday morning. Once I'd made weight, I made 135, I believe. I jumped on the scale and I figured, okay, perfect. Let's make our way to the weighing room where the scale and everything is. And then the UFC nutrition team actually said to me, hold on a second. We've just been informed that your opponent's missed weight. And initially I was kind of just like, okay, that sucks, okay, but how much? Because we've got a few hours and they can probably get down. And they
Mm.
said no, they've missed weight by 10 pounds. And it was a bit of deja vu because in contender series I had an opponent, a Brazilian opponent who
Mm.
missed weight by the exact same amount. And I just at that point, as you dehydrated and exhausted, sleepless, I just I got really annoyed, to be honest with you. And my team was trying to calm me down a little bit. And then by the time, like between when I got informed all the way until we made the decision was probably 30 minutes. But that 30 minutes felt like 2 hours, 3 hours because we were going back and forth with my manager Ali in Las Vegas. Javid was in Las Vegas at the time, and we're just all trying to connect and talk on the phone. And we had to make a decision right there. And it basically came down to we either cancel the fight because what we tried to do initially was we tried to uh do a catch weight
Mm.
of some sort, make the guy cut a little bit more to at least to 140 or something.
Yeah.
But the guy was making excuses and he was saying, no, I can't cut anymore. It's dangerous for me and this and that, which it was ridiculous, and I had a bit of back and forth with his coach too. I was getting a bit riled up, I was getting mad at his coach. His coach was like, no, we tried our best, this and that, which is ridiculous, obviously.
Mm.
Um, and then it just basically came down to this. Ali basically said, like, the UFC are saying that we either scratch the fight or you take the fight at featherweight. And me being who I am and being ready to fight, doing a whole camp, I straight away said, "Let's do it. Let's do featherweight." And my team were a little bit hesitant, because obviously they're looking out for me, and
Mm.
they said, "Okay, give us a couple minutes. Let's talk it over." And ultimately, we all agreed um, that I'm just far better than this guy. I have to be a little bit more cautious and change. We need to change the game plan a little bit more. But ultimately, we came all this way. We've done the whole camp, um, and we're ready to fight. And we're gonna beat this guy regardless of the weight. So we took a big risk, and it paid off.
I suppose the NBA season is here, and we have a slam dunk of a deal from our partners over at DraftKings. New customers who bet $5 receive $200 in bonus bets instantly using our promo code Inside Fighting. I suppose there's two types of weight misses, and that there is a natural miss in weight by 1 or 2 pounds, which can happen. Weight cutting is a strange game type of thing. You can't just make mistakes or have a bad wake up being a certain phase of your life or whatever. And then there's almost that failing to make weight, which when you're talking double digit pounds, that's a lot different than 1 or 2. I guess the question I want to ask you, did he feel like a featherweight compared to you to a bantamweight? Did he feel like stronger, like he hadn't rehydrated in the way that you had to?
110%, man.
Mm.
110%, man. And you've seen the fight, so I landed some cracking right hands,
Mm.
some really good shots, some perfectly timed shots. And I genuinely believe had he made the weight I made, had it been a level playing field, I think he would have gone down. He would have gone down from some of those right hands, and I would have put him away eventually. Um, but due to his size, his durability, um, man, I 100% felt it in there. And even in the grappling department, you can see usually I'm far more dominant in the grappling over my opponents, but this time around, like, I said this to somebody, it wasn't so much his size in terms of power and strength. I thought we matched each other pretty well there. If anything, I was stronger, but it was more his kind of like his dimensions,
Mm,
where like we go into a 50-50, and I couldn't really properly connect my grip.
mm.
I was on his leg for a double leg, I think, and he just split his legs. And I just, it was really awkward to make grips on him, just because I felt of his size. But yeah, 100%, man. I definitely felt like I was fighting a bigger man in there.
Do you feel like going through it, going ahead with the fight and performing as you did, do you feel like that gets you any good graces with the UFC brass moving on to what's next, or do you think it'll just be discounted as kind of the fight game and some of the madness that it sometimes creates?
No, I think definitely the UFC have acknowledged it. From what I've heard, I've
Mm,
spoken with um not directly, but through my manager and stuff, and the UFC really they did acknowledge it 100%. They appreciated it, they acknowledged it, and the only thing I guess I was to gain from this fight, besides like had he made weight, the only thing I would have gained the fight going this way was respect.
mm,
Respect from my peers, respect from the fans, and respect from the UFC. That's the only thing. I mean, my pay was the same, pretty
mm.
much. I was the same opponent. There was nothing else for it. In fact, there were disadvantages everywhere else. The only thing I would have gained more than it had it been a regular bantamweight fight was the respect, and that's kind of what was pushing me too. Was like it was kind of epic. Like it got me even more excited. It got me even more motivated, and concentrated. So yeah, the UFC have definitely acknowledged it from what I've been told, and that's very good
Mm.
on my part. That you want to make the bosses happy.
From a performance standpoint, did the fight play out as you expected? Are you happy with your performance? I imagine you had some time to watch it back. How do you reflect on your 15 minutes work in the cage?
Yeah, yeah, I'm very happy with the performance. Like I said, after the whole weight miss and everything, the game plan did change a little bit. I had to fight him more like I guess like a smaller man. I had to stick and move more, use my footwork more, not get prideful, not exchange, I guess, not stick around. I did plan, if you notice from the fight, I kept it one or two shots out,
Mm,
one or two shots, get out. Initially, the plan was to um, at some point stick around and bully him in there a little bit. Just using my superior kickboxing skills and wrestling skills. But we just felt like we were at too much of a disadvantage to get prideful, you
mm,
know. And it played out very well. I was happy, And one thing my coach he said to me before the fight is like, look, with the weight miss and everything, make sure. And this was a really good point he made. He goes, make sure you're not don't be too much of a perfectionist in there. If you get hit, you get kicked or something, you get taken down, it's okay. It's
mm,
okay because at the end of the day, this is somewhat of a create yeah, a disadvantage that we're fighting with. So you don't be too harsh on yourself and don't get negative in there when the guy does hit you. And that was great advice because there was a point I think in round two where he was starting to land a couple of shots and I was really calm and composed because at the end of the day, it's a fist fight.
mm.
You're gonna get hit. So yeah, ultimately, I was very happy with my performance.
And then post-fight, you call out the King of Rio, Jose Aldo. Was that
Yeah,
a pre-planned call out, and how realistic do you think that fight is for you next?
yeah, yeah. That was planned. I thought about it throughout camp. And again, like that's all through respect, right? Like
Mm,
I think the guy is one of the greatest fighters of all time. If I could get somebody like that on my resume before he retires, like at the end of the day, that's why I do this sport is to when I retire, I want to have the sweetest, the nicest resume.
mm,
To have Jose Aldo, it would be amazing. And how realistic it is it definitely, you know, we're working on that. We're working on it now. I'm bothering the UFC a lot to get that one. Whether it will happen or not, I'm not sure. We're really trying to make it happen. It's very possible. It is very possible. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think it was realistic. Do you know what I mean? So I
Mm,
wouldn't have wasted my time. So because I thought it was realistic, I went for it. So we're working on it now. It's possible. If it doesn't happen, listen, it's always there down the line. I'll win my next one and then we can make it happen.
mm.
So yeah.
I interviewed Mario Batista both sides of his fight with Aldo. I interviewed him pre-fight and then I interviewed him post-fight. And obviously he's got a lot of flack for the way in which he fought Aldo in terms of trying to get the takedown to keep the fight on the clinch. How would you fight Jose Aldo if it was to go that way? Because there's part I can appreciate a fan's perspective wanting an entertaining fight with such an entertaining fighter, but from your perspective, you beat Aldo in a quote unquote boring way. That does massive things for your career, getting
Yeah.
that scalp on your resume.
Yeah, it's here's the thing, like ultimately the win is the most important thing.
Mm,
So you can't blame Mario too much. And let's not act like Jose Aldo is some helpless guy or something. Like it's a fight in there. Like
mm,
get off the cage. Like if you don't want to risk the loss, get off the cage. But at the same time, I do feel he did enough to win. Jose Aldo did enough. And the problem with how Mario Bautista fought is he fought a bit scared. That's what it is. How the difference between him and Marab fight. Marab took it to
mm.
Jose Aldo. Bautista looked like he looked a little bit scared in there. Like anytime they got on the feet and they started exchanging strikes, he kind of panic grabbed them, and that's where uh that's my 2 cents on it is like uh, you know fighting strategically certain type of ways okay, but like you fought a little bit scared. That's
Mm.
my thing. He fought a little bit scared, and ultimately I thought he even lost. So.
It feels like a 4-0 in the UFC, a 15-0, I believe. It feels like a top 15 should be next for you. We have Jose Aldo ranked number 11, and then 12 to 15 is Kyler Phillips, Jonathan Martinez, um, Aiden Zahabi, who just got ranked at number 14, who I know that your family have history with, and then Montel Jackson. Size those four up from 12 to 15 as potential matchups. Would you have a preference if one of those were on the table?
Who'd you say? Kyler Phillips, John
Card
Rogers.
Martinez, Phillips, Sahabi, and Montel Jackson.
Um, I mean, to start with the obvious, let's say like with Ayman Zahabi. Honestly, I feel like we kind of did that already. Do you
Mm,
know what I mean? I feel like we kind of did that. I mean, you could say like you could call it avenging, but I never feel like we lost in the first place.
mm,
Do you know what I mean? And it would be a really uneventful, boring fight. That the wouldn't get my ranking up too much. It wouldn't do too much for me. So I don't know. That's with all due respect to Ayman, like I'm not too interested in that fight. Montel, that's an interesting one because that already was supposed to happen in June, and he's on a bit of a tear. Um, and then Kyler Phillips, that's a fun one. That's a very fun one. That's of all of those, Jonathan Martinez coming off a loss. The one I would probably be most interested, just even stylistically, it would be fun. Would be Kyler Phillips.
mm.
I think it would make it stylistically a good matchup, a fun matchup. Um, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Kyler Phillips maybe off the floor, but I don't mind any of them really, but maybe Kyler Phillips.
I like it. And I saw the post fight. You spent some time. I'm not sure how much, but I saw a photo of you and the Eagle, Khabib Nurmagomedov. What was that like?
Yeah,
And did he give you any words of encouragement, advice, praise? What's it like spending time with one of the goats?
yeah, it's always great seeing Habib. He's obviously a huge inspiration for me. I've seen all of his fights maybe 15 times.
Mm,
And yeah, we went to dinner and we just kind of he gave me some really good words of encouragement. He just said that I fought really with like a lot of composure and confidence and calmness, and it was a tricky situation. And he actually kind of said to me like, "Hey, be careful taking a like don't stop take like you did it this time. That was nice.
mm,
You did very well, but like don't fight people when they miss weight so by so much again. Like you got to be a little bit smart." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like this was just a one-off weight situation. I don't plan on fighting people. Like
mm.
such a weight disparity. But yeah, speaking with him was great. He gave me some good advice about the future as well, about training and career and stuff like that. So yeah, it was always great speaking with Habib.
I love it. Quickly, I'm not sure if you got a chance to see it. Obviously, you were on the undercard, but what were your thoughts on the main event of that card between Ilia Topuria and him getting the knockout over Max Holloway?
Yeah, yeah, really impressive to be honest. Like that's the two goats now in featherweight.
Mm,
that he has knocked out. And this may sound a bit condescending, but like I don't know how he keeps getting it done. He's obviously really good at what I'm saying, but like that fight, it kind of came out of the blue. It came
did.
out like it because it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then bang, it was over.
Mm,
And it's a credit to him. He's obviously really, really good, really, really composed, and he's got a lot of power. So, and I just didn't think he was going to be able to put Max away because obviously nobody really had prior to
mm,
this. So, yeah, no, he's really, really good. Like he's pound for pound. He's right up there, to be honest with you.
mm. I've been asking a lot of people who I've been speaking to in the aftermath of this fight this question, and I'm interested to get your thoughts as a pro and also someone relatively close to that division. I know you're one below, but in the kind of in the ballpark. Ilia keeps saying that he's doing things differently, that he's the next evolution of the sport, and that he's changing the game. So, from your perspective, when you watch tape on him, is he doing things differently? Like, is he what he says he is, or is that how do you assess that?
When he says he's doing things differently, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen the interviews, but I don't think he means it inside the cage. I
Mm,
think he means it outside the cage. And I do see it. If you look at MMA is different from boxing. The approach he's taking is you see it in boxing all the time. It's very common in boxing. It's I'm making my own camp. I'm hiring my coaches. I'm hiring this, that, investing money into my team, and they're all going to be there for me and me only. MMA is different in the sense you join a team and there's coaches for everybody. And what he's doing is I haven't seen it too much in MMA. I think George St. Pierre was the first person to do it, where he would hire a team for
mm,
himself. He would have Faraz, he would work with Freddie Roach, and he would go get Greg Jackson, so and so, so and so. Um, you don't see it much, so I think he that's what he's talking about. The way he has his team, his media, everything, and the way he does his camps. He does it
mm.
like a boxer, and I like it. To be honest, as a boxing fan, I like it a lot. Um, as far as in the cage, I don't think he's doing anything different in the cage. He's just a very good fundamental fighter. But I think it's outside the cage he's talking about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense the way you say that. Actually, yeah, that's made a lot of sense. Last question from me. Thank you as always for your time. We are at the start of November 2024.
Hmm.
Where is Farid Basharat come the 1st of November 2025? Your goals for the next 12-month period.
Um, I want to fight beginning of next year, so like January, February. I want to fight, and then I really, really want to get on the London card.
Mm,
I've been in the UFC a couple of years. Between me and my brother, neither of us have been on the London card yet. So I'd imagine they're coming back to London. Or maybe even if it's Manchester, but of course I would prefer London. They usually come in July.
mm,
So I want Jan Feb slash I want Jan slash Feb first fight, and then I want July London, and then again November December or October November December like one more in the final third of the year, and I'm hoping that gets me well within the top 10. And then 2026 we're looking at the title run where number one contender and the title fight. So I think that's very realistic too, to be honest with you. I'm 4-0 now. That will take me to 7-0 in the UFC by the end of 2025. And yeah, 7-0 in the hottest weight division generally gets you, if not a title shot, a number one contender at least.
yeah, 100%. Well, Farad, it's always good seeing you back in action. Even better to see you get that win, especially with all the hurdles and the obstacles that you had to overcome on fight week. So, congratulations again. Always a pleasure catching up. Look forward to the next one.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you.